Unmute all. If I could have everyone's attention, it is 6 o'clock. It's February 24th, 2025, and it's time for our city council meeting. Before we get started, we had someone sign up for a non-agenda item, so Mr. Cobb.
The council each year in January considers what they want the rules to be for the upcoming year. And in years past, we have had a section of the rules that allowed comment at the end of the meeting for items that were not necessarily on the agenda. The council voted to remove that provision. So at this juncture, the rule is that public comment is limited to items that are only on the agenda for that meeting. Just want to make that clarification.
It's time for the prayer. If we could please have Sherwood First Baptist Pastor, Mr. Ricky Lee, and not that you need a microphone.
Well, let's pray together. Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for this great city and the privilege of living here. Father, I pray for those who protect our way of life, and I'm very grateful for them. Thank you for the policemen, the firemen, the medical profession, the first responders that are always on the line day by day. We pray that you'll bless, use them, and Father, protect them. We thank you for our government leaders, and we just pray that you'll give them wisdom far beyond themselves. Father, they'll care about the citizens, seek that which is right in your eyes. And Father, we might build a community that's safe, one that is fulfilling, and one that will help us accomplish the purpose you have for us. Bless this night. We give you praise for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Brooks, Williams.
Present.
Broderick.
Here.
Thomas. Wade.
Here.
McCullough.
Here.
Townsend.
Here.
Treat.
Here.
You received a copy of the minutes of the regularly called meeting on January 27th, 2025. Any corrections, changes?
Move to adopt. Second.
We have a motion to adopt by Council Member Williams and a second by Council Member Broderick. Roll call, please.
Thomas. Wade.
Yes.
Brooks. Townsend.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Treat.
Yes.
Broderick.
Aye.
McCullough.
Aye.
You received the January 25th financials. Any questions, comments? There being none, we will move on. First up, we have the ordinance. If you will please read the ordinance.
An ordinance amending Ordinance 2140 regarding the adoption of new policies and procedures for the Department of Humane Animal Services and for other purposes, third reading.
So we have coming before you some amendments that Councilmember Townsend will be going over. You all should have received a copy of those along with your packet. So if you'll get kind of ready, and she's going to kind of go over all the different amendments and why she is proposing them. Councilmember Townsend, the floor is yours.
So I know we did not discuss this at last month's meeting, and we still felt like it still needed some work done. I went back and listened specifically to each of the council members' comments, concerns, and questions that they had from the December meeting when Charlie reproposed this, because it was a big change from where we were at. And so I took all those and worked with our animal control officer and made those adjustments specific to what y'all were saying and questioning. Some of the big items that I can point out to you, I did try to highlight them in the
new version.
So that you can see them quickly. One was changing halter to harness. I know that was brought up a couple of times. The other thing was the insurance liability. Y'all had a discussion with Mr. Harmon about that. I also verified that with 2 insurance companies. The minimum is the 100, but additional can be purchased as an umbrella policies. So that was changed from what he had prior to. Ms. Broderick has expressed concern about the enforcement of any change that we did have. Chris, as well as the chief, have ensured that that would happen. And I asked specifically for some reports on a regular basis so that we can evaluate those as they come. Ms. Williams had a big concern about some contradictory language in there versus 1 bite to 2 bites. We adjusted that for just the regular animals to clarify that the 2 or more before they deem vicious. Chris wants to follow Cabot's lead because they have had success with this to where it's a one issue on any vicious that we allow. Were there any other questions?
I had a comment that I made one time. I don't know if it got in the minutes or if it was made, during the discussion. But we all know that oftentimes we hear the word pit mix.
Yes.
We hear that mix. And in talking to a couple of people who own pit bulls and who they talk about that, and in talking to some other people, they said they could live if we said something that a 51% pit bull is this, a 49% something else, because that difference, if it's like, I don't know what the other dog would be, but whatever. So they wanted to say that it had to be 51% or greater, because there are so many that may look like it, they may have a little bit of it, but they didn't automatically deem everybody. I did have another question on a separate topic about it, is we know and admit that we have pit bulls in the city.
Correct.
And it has not been enforced.
Correct.
Okay, and I think animal control will tell you that.
Yes.
Yes. So the question that's been posed to me by about 4 or 5 different people
Is
that
how do we know?
Well, no, if you didn't enforce just no,
Right.
then how are you
How
going
are we
to
gonna
enforce a
enforce it?
harness and insurance and this and that? You've got now like 10 conditions to enforce. If you couldn't enforce just yes or no, how are you going to enforce 10 things? And I thought that was a very fair question. So I just
No,
want
I completely agree, and I addressed that with him, and
but it's not, what's the assurance? Because if you ask right now for any records of pit bulls, that's 0.
correct.
So we've had this law since 2018, that's 6 years, and we've had 0 citations when we know that's not true because we see.
Well, I
So-
can't speak to what happened prior to me sitting here.
I know you cannot, but it's the.
I understand the concern
Beverly,
of that.
can I break in? I'm not sure that's exactly correct, because in court, we've had people with pit bulls, and the court has ordered them to be taken out of the city. That's happened several times.
Okay. Well, I just know when I asked the question about how many we had, there was no record. So that was what I was basing it on.
I do know, I can speak a little bit to that, but I know that there were not, computers were not highly utilized, and there were not real good records.
And I totally don't disagree with you on that statement, but.
Right, but that has changed.
And that was going to be my save it to you. Chris did take me through their new software that they have.
Okay, because he was working on that at the time I talked to
Yes.
him.
I asked him as far as reporting, intake, and there's a team. If he can't, pull a report quickly, he has resources that can get him the data necessary out of their system. It's very detailed. As far as that one other change that he specifically wanted to add, because we do have relationships with North Little Rock, City of Little Rock, is fraudulent relinquishing within the city of Sherwood and the fine associated with that. This intertwines with that and helps him help track that. That way they don't just have like a Facebook post that says, well, we know that dog was in North Little Rock and now it's here. I feel very confident with the software that we have. I feel confident in what he tells me when, it's like if I see someone with one, the question personally that I'll be asking is your dog registered within the city? If not, well, then we need to fix that problem, so that we can track that. you know, we're gonna have to do it, you know, if we can get these proposed changes to what Mr. Harmon had submitted, you know, we're just gonna have to be, as a council, you know, mindful of that with our team that is gonna be monitoring it. I mean, it's, you know,
I did, one thing, I mentioned this
You're the monitor.
before. I don't like the microchipping requirement. I don't agree with that being in there as a requirement. And I know our old ordinance mentioned it too, but I don't think the government should be telling residents how many pets they can have in their home. You know, if we're trying to limit breeding, we need to say that. If we're trying to limit pets who are being, you know, neglected or not well taken care of, then we should say that. But I don't think the government should say, "Look, you can only have 2 cats and 2 dogs or 3
That's
dogs
already
and
in
1
there.
cat."
Well,
But I'm
likewise,
just saying, I don't agree with it.
Okay.
I don't think the government should be in a position to tell someone what breed of dog they can have. So that's why we are here, you know, trying to support this, because these dogs have gotten a bad rap. There are plenty of these dogs out there that deserve a home, and people don't get them from the shelter because they're scared of this law. So, Miss Beverly, to kind of, I guess, hit on your point earlier, is we've got these people in the city that have these dogs, and they hasn't been enforced. They don't want to come say, I've got a pit bull, and they don't want to bring light to that because they love the city of Sherwood, but they love their dog too. Right. So they're quietly and safely and responsibly caring for that dog in private. And so since we know we have pit bulls here, have we had a huge problem with them? We know they're in our city. So to me, that speaks volumes that the people that own these dogs are owning them responsibly.
But I think that what's hard though is we would be they would be, I believe they're still banned in Jacksonville and North Little Rock, and so we would be a buffer. We're gonna become a metropolis for pit bulls. And the problem is, while most of the owners so far have been responsible, if everybody was responsible and everybody always did the right thing, we wouldn't need a police force or laws at all. So the problem is we have to make laws and ordinances to protect the people, not because all the dogs are bad, but because some of them are unsafe and unpredictable. And
I do understand what you're saying, but I also have scars on the back of my legs from a Chihuahua that completely attacked me and that would not let go. So, you know, it's not just large breed of dogs. I understand that some people have personal opinions about these types of dogs.
But it's a
I have
safety thing
very-
for me.
But I have a fear of Chihuahuas. I mean, you know, it's like you get a Chihuahua near me, I'm a little skeptical because I have been attacked by a Chihuahua. It was not fun, so I understand that. But I also understand that the city is spending a lot of money caring for animals that cannot be adopted out of our shelter.
They can be
would,
adopted, but not in the city of Sherwood.
correct. I would like to add too, since the city, to provide you some further information, you know, the city of Maumelle also abuts up to North Little Rock. And I talked to their mayor. They repealed their BSL. They have been very happy with it. He said every year they review it, and they have never even come close to wanting to change that repeal. They were basically, the mayor of both Maumelle and Cabot, when I called up to ask, gave me the same information. There is a billboard, but that is one person's billboard, and it has gotten no traction whatsoever.
I know.
So,
You know, and going back to the enforcement piece, I cannot, and I'm not going to call the name, but there is a grooming or a pet babysitting facility in Sherwood that takes in, when you go on vacation, you can leave your pit bull there or your dogs there, and they do have a large abundance of pit bull. And someone asked them the question. They said, isn't your business in Sherwood? They, oh yeah, but they don't ever check on us. So it's like, okay. So that was kind of like throw it. You know what I'm saying? Like ignoring it. So
Well,
And
can I
I
ask-
appreciate the effort y'all done and the charges. I just know I have this many things from my constituents in Ward 3 that say, please do not approve this.
I do as well.
I mean, so what I'm hearing is that this still needs some work.
I would ask the microchipping requirement, maybe encourage, the word encourage,
Okay?
but I would say not required.
So could I ask for a motion to accept the current changes to what's already, where we're
Your
already at?
changes are good.
Okay, can I ask for a motion to accept just those changes with the caveat of us continuing to work on this?
Why do we need to, why would we not just table it and come back next month with more, continued discussion? I'm not in support of this current at all, not even a little bit.
I mean, I would be open if we put a percent, a pit bull is defined as 51% or better.
But then we get into how.
Okay,
is
that's
that-
gonna
Hourly,
require,
okay.
that's gonna require us to do a lot more research on that.
Well,
I mean, I'm just saying, because, I mean,
And
DNA test on that it's not reliable at all. And,
oh, I heard it was, and I heard it was, because I know we mentioned that earlier, and someone said it was expensive, and I was told they thought it was about $100 to have that test done.
well, we haven't even, I mean, like,
Okay.
we haven't even dove into that
Okay.
piece of it. That's gonna take us a minute.
So if you had like a dog that was a mixed breed that was 40%, it passes the mustard, so to speak.
I think that's something to look at as far as, because I'm not.
Compromise
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of
not
thing.
familiar with the cost, but that may be something that needs to be looked at to get some more information about, to see if, at the time of registration, that test be able to be given. If, I understand if it's a tremendous amount of money, that might prove difficulty, but just get some more information about that testing process and the cost. And I want to follow up with a question that may have been answered. I know this has been going on for some time, so I don't recall the answer, but why was the amount of liability insurance decreased from $500,000 to $100,000?
Because according to 3 different insurance companies, the standard for your home is about 100,000. You can get more underneath different umbrella policies. And Mr. Harmon addressed that in December.
I think Cabot's is 300,000, is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
And I would not, I mean, that's not a hard line for me. That's.
Yeah.
I'm just not in support of it, so I just.
I did have a question on your revision, Meredith, with regard to page 15. Why was that sections 14 stricken when it quoted state law? I mean, I know we don't have to reiterate state law all the time,
no.
but sometimes when it is in an ordinance, we do go ahead and mention it unless that law has been changed.
I'm gonna defer that to Mr. Cobb.
We had this come up in court, and if you look on page 14, the enumerated, 1, 2, 3, 4, that follows the state statute. And those are jailable offenses.
The one starting under animal care and cruelty on page 13?
Yeah. The kills, abandons, fails to provide animal,
Okay.
all of that. Okay. But when you get to 13 and 14, those aren't in the statute. And municipalities don't have the authority to make something a jailable offense if it's not in the statute.
Of course not.
So that's why I asked it be stricken.
So you're saying section 13, which is obstruction, those numbers 1 through 4, that statute applies to just those 4, but not the other 4? Okay.
13 and 14, the language there does not appear in the state statute.
All right. But the other 1 through 12 does?
Yes.
Thank you.
So section 13
I believe
has
that's
been
correct.
removed completely, is what you're saying.
No, not section 13.
Number
Under
13.
section 13, on page 15, numbers 13 and 14 have been removed.
We did have someone signed up to speak. Are there any more questions amongst the council at this time? We can come back to it after the speaker.
I would just like to ask, for those of you that are concerned and in opposition of this, like, what can we do to to get y'all on the team of overturning this? Like, is there anything that we can do? Is there anything we can provide, facts, information?
That's an honest question and give an honest answer. Having sat here that meeting 6 months ago, when, yes, we had the family that had the child who was killed by a pit bull and unbeknownst, they gave each of us a photo. We opened it up and it was graphic pictures, and we wish we'd never opened the file. But I think to me, it was the nurse, I think from St. Vincent's or Children's Hospital, that had a poster board, a big poster board. Was it not in St. Vincent?
She was not the one who had the poster board.
Okay. But it had so many of her patients of variety, and then it's continuously seeing it. And I know when this piece of legislation in the city began, it was right after a person in Hot Springs, I think a jogger, a young lady who was jogging, was killed. And I think it was just, it's the press has continually brought this to our face. And so I think, and Charlie, I think, said that when we first started this, we reacted because we didn't have anything to a death that occurred. And then we've had some other things happen. And I think it's a fear factor. And I think that's why in my ward, I get calls after every meeting that if something about pit bull is mentioned or that, the breed specific language, an email or a call. So, that's as honest as I can tell you, Monica.
Thank you.
We have a speaker, Mr. Buddy Fisher. Did you want to still speak?
I surely do.
Okay.
Somebody's got to bring some common sense to this floor.
All right. If you could please state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes, correct?
Okay, my name is Buddy Fisher. I live at 8949 Meadow Garden Circle. I've lived in Sherwood for 10 years. And so, yes, I am a member in this community. So as our president has stated, there's something that needs to be restored in our country, and that is common sense. That's one thing that my dad taught me, was common sense. Okay? So I hear a lot of common sense right here. I don't hear a lot of common sense over here. Now, I did hear Ms. Broderick say that she was opposed to the microchipping, and I will agree with you on that, dear, because I don't think that it's any politician's right to say, you have to microchip your dog. So I will agree with you 100% on that, and I appreciate that very much. The other thing is the insurance. Okay. Now, let me back up. Because let's just, again, I can give you 1,000 videos on this side for and 1,000 videos on this side against Mr. Wade, and you're my representative, so I'm going to address you too, okay? Because I voted for you. All right, so let's just make that real clear. Common sense. I can give you 1,000 videos for and 1,000 videos against. Good videos for people that love pit bulls and have them with their babies and their little kids and all of this. Oh, so they're just violent dogs. No, this is an ownership. This dear lady made it clear. I can train a Chihuahua to be aggressive. I can train a weenie dog, Dachshund, a Labrador to be aggressive. I can train a pit bull to be aggressive or to be friendly. That's the issue that y'all don't want to listen to. That's the common sense. Miss Williams, Mr. Wade, and Miss Broderick, again, I will give you credit for that. So let's just get into some common sense here.
Sir, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, I was in a meeting where we had one person, I won't tell the name, who brought up a lion tamer who got attacked by a lion and got, what the heck does that have to do with this discussion? I've already heard that argument, really, and I know where it came from. Y'all heard it. Come on, Sherwood.
Came in.
Let's just get into some common sense.
Mr. Fisher, your time has expired.
Okay, all right, thank you. We're going to know where common sense comes out of this deal, and we're going to make it known to this city. So there you go.
Councilmember Townsell and Treat, I'll give you guys the last word since this is your amendments that you are trying to get through.
This is clearly a passionate issue, and so I appreciate your passion. We too are as passionate as you are, and so we're going to work hard to see this through for the city. There's innocent dogs out there that somebody's got to speak up for, so that's the team that I'm on. If I was born as a bully breed terrier, I would hope that somebody would speak up for me, and that's what I'm here to do. So, Sherwood, you have got my 100% support on overturning this, and we're going to give it everything we've got.
And I don't have anything else to add to that.
Okay. So you have amendments that were presented to you. Do you want a motion to somebody, if you would like to accept those amendments, I would need a motion to accept the amendments as presented by Councilmember Townsend that she went over.
Mr. Cobb, is it, if we take no action, it will just come back next month with?
No.
We can table it and
You
it
could
can come
table,
back as
yes.
is?
You could table if you have an ordinance in front of you that's been 3 times. That's the first thing. You have a proposed amendment to that, the ordinance that's on the agenda, which would take a motion to substitute what's existing on the agenda. Then that would go back to a first reading tonight.
And
That's
that
how
would give you more time.
And that is what I'd like to do.
Are you open to the 51% or not?
I am, but I feel like we need to figure out how to do it and how to do it that's not gonna cost our taxpayers a ton of money. How we can do it legally, that's like, you know, if we're gonna pass that on to someone who's, you know, adopting, there's just a lot of things, I'm not against that. I need to make sure that we can handle that as a city. Like,
I was thinking that could be the bridge that brought it together.
I mean, but I have no issues going back to Chris and us working through that, like.
Okay.
But I also need to make sure that it's something that's going to be reliable, because I don't want us spinning our wheels and spending money if the tests are not accurate.
Well, no, what I was gonna say was, I mean, I think we're all, I don't know this, but if we're in agreement to amend it just with a simple part about the microchipping, we can do that, and then that puts it back on the first reading. Like, so I'll make a motion that we amend what's been presented to us to change the language from I don't know exactly how it was written there. But
We're talking about the new version that came to us on our packet.
Do you want,
And remove the microchipping.
Well, just put,
The
I think the
mandatory
word encourage
microchipping.
was used, we encourage residents
Yeah.
to use microchipping.
Yeah.
Versus mandatory.
That would be my motion.
I'll second.
Is that to amend everything that was presented?
No, that would only address right now the microchipping. You can amend it to include what was already presented to you and microchipping.
No.
Okay. You have before you a motion to amend the ordinance to strike mandatory and put in its place encourage.
Good word.
Roll call, please.
Thomas, Wade,
Aye.
Brooks, Townsend,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Treat,
Aye.
Broderick, McCullough.
It'll need to be read as amended.
Oh, sorry.
You just, Do you want me to take?
No.
Okay.
An ordinance amending ordinance 2140 regarding the adoption of new policies and procedures for the Department of Humane Animal Services and for other purposes, first reading as amended.
Okay. Next up, you have a resolution amending Resolution 42, 2024 regarding the City of Sherwood, Arkansas 2025 general budget, extending the cost of living adjustments to part-time employees and for other purposes. This was sponsored by Councilmember Broderick. I give you the floor.
This is just a housekeeping thing. I think it possibly just got overlooked. So this is only making the COLA the same percentage for everybody. So elected officials, full-time, part-time. So that's, and this amount, dollar amount does, I confirmed with Colleen, it does retro it back. So they would get their COLA for the previous, since January 1. So.
Quick question. By part-time, I know we have several part-timers. Does this include, I'm just thinking something like lifeguards in the summer, are they called
Yes, ma'am.
part-timers? Okay.
Anybody who's a part-time employee for the city.
I didn't know if they were called temps or part-timers. I didn't know the language on that one. Okay.
If nobody has any questions. So, I make a motion for the adoption of the resolution.
A second.
Roll call, please. We have a motion by Councilmember Broderick and a second, by Councilmember, was it Wade? Or Williams?
She got it.
I think it's,
Townsend. There we go. Somebody. I'm sorry. Second by Councilmember Townsend. Roll call, please.
Thomas, Wade,
Aye.
Brooks, Townsend,
Aye.
Williams,
aye.
Treat,
Aye.
Broderick,
Aye.
McCullough.
You all received a resolution. I will be asking to suspend the rules to place this on the agenda. Basically, this all came about Friday afternoon. This resolution is in regards to Lake Cherrywood. The city only owns a small portion of Lake Cherrywood. The owner of the bulk of Lake Cherrywood, basically is not in great health and expressed that he wanted to go ahead and sell it before his days on this earth had expired, and he wanted to sell it to the city and basically made us an incredible offer. That's why there's a sense of urgency, and that's why this is coming before you in the time in which it is. What this would allow us to do is we would be able to get ownership of the, of course, the overwhelming bulk of the lake, including the most critical part, which is the levee. The levee has been broken now for several years. Game and Fish have wanted to come and repair it at their costs. The homeowner had refused. And so Game and Fish, this used to be the only, it's considered private because it was mostly private lake that was being stocked by Arkansas. And they said until they were allowed to repair the levee, that it would no longer be stocked. So this is a great opportunity for us to be able to take care of this asset, be able to get it in working order. There's actually a boat ramp that we can't even use because the lake's too low, and really create something for the future of Sherwood, something that we can enjoy now and in the future, and we can do so safely.
The other thing I think, Mayor, that you and I discussed when we talked about this, if you've ever driven around Lake Sherwood, there are several, these are small starter homes, and there are several of them being demolished, and new little homes are going in. And so it's going to spruce up that whole community, and you can't even get around the lake, because when we were out there doing a Keep Sherwood Beautiful and trying to do up the park area of it, there's this dilapidated dirt road, you can't maneuver around, but once we have that property, the dirt road would be ability to build the road that the residents deserve.
Repair it, yeah.
And repair that. So, when the mayor called me about this, since it's in Ward 3, and knowing what we'd try to do in Lake Sherwood area and the homes that are being, we've torn down some homes in there already and took some property and shared it to other homes. So we've already been making some strides to bring this up, and I think it could, I don't know if it's gonna be a fishing pond or a kayaking or a little
Or both.
canoeing pond or whatever, but it does have some potential to, rather than just be stagnant and collect mosquitoes. It's very good at that right now.
And so at this time, I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules to put this on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Townsend to suspend the rules and put it on the agenda, and a second by Councilmember Wade. Roll call, please.
Thomas, Wade,
Aye.
Brooks, Townsend,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Treat,
Aye.
Broderick,
Aye.
McCullough.
Aye.
Mayor, I have a question. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but is it just the lake itself? Or the diagram that we have here is showing,
It's everything on,
Inside the blue line?
In the blue
In-
outline?
yes, sir, except for if you, there's a dark line where I marked off where across from Gum Street or Gum Drive, and it goes down and around and connects with the property that's owned by Radio La something or another. So it's everything,
Hold it up, this supposed to be seen.
okay, everything beyond that. So it's 12.23 acres of water plus the land that you see.
Where these 6 little buildings are?
Yeah,
That's what I
that
was
is
wondering.
theirs. That is their homestead.
This is the homestead of the current owner.
Yes, that where family members live. That will remain with them, and then
Okay.
what
That
they're
was-
selling is everything else.
Everything else circled in the
Yes.
blue.
So there really just needs to be a line that's connecting these two along the shoreline.
I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
And can you please read the resolution?
A resolution authorizing negotiation for the purchase of certain lands in the Lake Cherrywood area of the city of Sherwood, Arkansas.
Did we have a dollar amount?
Yes, ma'am. It's in the resolution. It's
There.
50,000 plus the, closing costs, fees, et cetera.
We didn't say it
Not
out
to,
loud.
I'm sorry, not to exceed 50,000. So that comes out to a little over 4,000 an acre of just the water. So it's actually includes some land with that too, on the east side of the lake.
I'm impressed.
Do we,
North.
because
Sorry.
in full disclosure, I have no idea what upkeep of a pond is. Do we have an idea of what
No,
that may
sir.
entail in the future? I mean,
No, we really don't, and I'm sorry, there's a bug that's distracting me, keeps flying around. No, we don't know what the yearly upkeep is. We already own, you can see on there that small, portion of it, but what it does allow us to do, right now, there's not much we can do to really keep the lake up because we don't own enough of it. And so you've got, deterioration of the lake. And so what this does is actually helps to protect our own asset and expand it. We did have one person who wanted to speak on this, Mr. Corker, if you'd like to come to the mic.
Wait, the park is over here. The park is on the east side, about right in here.
Where it says City of Sherwood, it's right up there. There's a square with some dots, that's the basketball court.
Very tall.
Congratulations.
gotcha.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, Kyle, if they do the work and stock the pond with the appropriate fish, it takes care of itself. It becomes its own ecosystem. So, those were your questions. If they stock the right fish, which the Game and Fish Commission would do, it becomes its own ecosystem. So there's really very little maintenance you have to do on the lake. I think this is a very good use of city money. That's probably half of what I would sell it to you for.
We don't need to say that out loud, Mr.
Be quiet.
I'm sorry, but it's a really good deal. I think it adds. I would love to take my son out there and go fishing or go kayaking. And those that know me know I'm pretty frugal in what I support in terms of city dollars. But and I know it's a kind of a rush job, and that kind of makes everybody a little nervous. But sometimes opportunities come, and you just have to jump while they're there. Otherwise, you may not get this opportunity again. I would speak highly in favor of a unanimous vote for the city to take this pond over. Thank you.
Are there any comments, questions, anything else?
Also adds property value to those homes, I would think, as
Yes.
it keeps continuing having new homes replaced.
I'd entertain a motion.
Move for the adoption of the resolution.
We have a motion by Councilmember Williams and a second by Councilmember Broderick to approve the resolution. Roll call, please.
Thomas, Wade. Brooks, Townsend,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Treat,
Aye.
Broderick, McCullough.
Aye.
Any old business that needs to be addressed? Under new business, we have a rededication of existing tax bond issues. And I did want to kind of tell you all about, we've been doing some research on information that we have found out, okay? So on the issue of, Sherwood Forest and Event Center, sports facility, all that good stuff, looked at Benton's Center, I've looked at Cabot's, I've spoken to, and also Benton's River Center. I was hoping there'd be a way to really combine the two into one, and there's really not a good way in which to do that. So one of the ideas that I need to find out whether or not this would be feasible and work or not, we do need a bigger event for your weddings, for your banquets, for meetings, for, those type of things. And so my thought is, if you are looking at Sherwood Forest, imagine that being left of the splash pad, because you could utilize the trees and the windows of the trees for weddings and view and so forth. Where existing Sherwood Forest is, what we have found out, spoken to several different volleyball clubs, in order to get the national qualifying tournaments, the really big tournaments, there's lots of small tournaments too, but for the big tournaments, what the requirement is 16 volleyball courts. Well, that's not enough land to really be able to do 16 volleyball courts. However, we met with 501 Volley. They would like to partner with us. They have 4 courts off of Smoky Lane. We have 2 courts at the Harmon Center. That leaves 10 needed courts, which is the equivalent to 5 basketball courts. So that is like what we saw at the Benton River Center plus 1 more court. That is doable. With 5 basketball courts is 10 volleyball courts is 15 pickleball courts, okay? So we have found that those 3 things work really well together. It's been highly successful over in Cabot. It has been a big economic generator, and I know that that's, of course, really important. And one of the things that the volleyball clubs told us is right now the only real place in which you can go is Cabot, and they are booked up weekend after weekend after weekend. But people don't like necessarily going to the same place weekend after weekend after weekend. The other complaint that we got was that they don't have enough hotels, which has been actually great for us because I talked to our hotels and it's actually been filling up our hotels. But where the volleyball organizations in Central Arkansas are saying is that by having it more centrally located in Sherwood versus out in Cabot, you've got a lot more hotels within a closer proximity of which you can utilize, because you've got North Little Rock hotels, the Sherwood hotels, and so forth. Also, they really like the idea of it being in Sherwood because of your proximity to restaurants, also being able to have different ways in which you can get there. Since Maryland connects to Camp Robinson and so forth, that's been another issue over in Cabot. It would be a huge economic generator in terms of it brings in a lot of restaurants, a lot of revenue, and so forth, just on the volleyball side. That doesn't even include your potential pickleball, indoor pickleball tournaments, your basketball, and so forth. So I thought that that was really exciting news. And if there are times in which 501 Volley doesn't want to work with us, we already have a gym, First Christian Church, that is, they're utilizing volleyball. We can partner with them. Church of Christ also has one. So we have options of also partnering with churches. They also said that not all the tournaments do you need the 16 courts. There's also a lot of smaller ones as well. I want to make sure that I have a consensus that, yes, this sounds like a direction that we want to go. Before I spend any money, it would be under my spending limit, but to start doing like a feasibility and to see, okay, is this indeed possible and what would that look like? And what we are talking about is the rededication of the 3/4 cent sales tax. So it's not a new tax, it's just a rededication of existing. The animal...
One that goes off in July, the library tax?
No, ma'am.
Which one's
That's a millage. This is the sales tax that we used for the street bonds currently.
Thank you.
Okay. The animal shelter, we know that it is a huge need for our community. It's not an economic generator, but that shelter was built when I don't even know if we were 10,000 strong at that point. It is in poor condition, and it does not remotely fit the needs of a community like ours. And so I've started the process of, because we need to discern where our money could be spent wisely on the shelter, whether there's anything we can do with the existing or whether we need to just start over again. What would the best money be in terms of that? It could be according to when we had Cromwell and Baldwin Shell went and did the ramp over there for free of charge for us as a service project for them. There's a lot of rusting, there's a lot of concern that it's not salvageable and that we could spend as much building a new shelter as trying to do something with that one. So, but that's, once again, something that we need to find out. I don't need to spend money to find out about getting the costs for the baseball fields and what we're looking at there. We have applied for a grant. It's a 100% grant, so it didn't need to go before the council, for all new lighting, the lighting that is there like on the baseball fields, that would need to be changed out to LED to make it more efficient. And then in the softball field where it's terrible, and you can see it from what I understand all the way to what's it called? The what? The bean fields, I'm sorry. You can see because it's a lot of light pollution, very inefficient. When the lights go off, they're off, and it takes them 30 minutes to warm back up again. That's all part of the grant. I don't know if we've got the grant. We just applied for it. It's a one-time deal only. So we did get ours in. We got that in on Friday. So we should know something about that. Along what we are looking at with the ball fields is infield only, which would mirror what Cabot did, except for field 1, which is the one that the high school uses, and 13 and up use that field. And that would be a complete turf, yes ma'am. And then improving the playgrounds out there, add solar lighting to the parking lots, because they are very dark and scary, and then improving the lighting. And I think that would bring us up to where we need to be on the baseball fields. Henson Trail, we will be applying for an engineering grant. That'll give us a better idea what we're looking at for cost. That is a jewel in our city. People love the Henson Trail. It's added a lot of value to that area. The residents who live around it love it. People drive over there. They come from other areas, walk on a regular basis, right? Right, but it is in such disrepair. It is not even an adequate walking trail anymore. It really needs to be engineered correctly. Once again, I think that's a draw to our city and has economic benefit, and actually create bike and pedestrian wide enough for both use. And then
And make it safe
and
ADA
make it,
compliant.
yes, yes. And add, we're also looking at adding solar lighting as well out there. And then the other one, once again, I'm not asking to, spend money on this right now, is the large community park out on Jacksonville-Cato. That's a little over 21 acres. There are things that we can do with that park to make it an economic generator. By having, pump track, you can actually have competitions with the pump tracks. Beach volleyball is a huge, fast-growing sport, and there's not a good place in which to have beach volleyball. In Central Arkansas, I've met with several of where they feel safe. That's what the volleyball clubs are saying.
It's the concept of the beach
Well,
in Sherwood.
hey, they play it it's now a scholarship sport, yes. But they call it beach, so I'm just going by what the volleyball people have said. They were very excited about that. Really creating a signature park out there, because one thing we do know is families will travel to a great playground. They will go to Little Rock, they will go to North Little Rock, in order to go to a great playground, and you need to have concession stands and bathrooms and lighting. We need more pickleball courts out there. We need more basketball.
We just need a
'Cause
park out there.
we need a great park out there. We don't have good land for it, and really need that. There may be other things in which we can do, but I've got to start somewhere and get us some numbers, because we're on a timeline. If we are going to be able to consider to bring this before the voters, and then I can get some pricing, bring it back to you all, see where we're at, and do we need to cut something out? Can we add something? I don't want to, though, over-promise. I think that's very important. I think it's also important, as Councilmember Broderick has said, that when we do it right. And we do it right the first time, and make sure that it's a great project and it will do what we're saying it will do. So I just basically, I need to know, are you all okay? I'm going to need to, it may at some point, I might need to come back to the council and say, hey, I used professional fees on, this amount. I might need to allocate more. I might not. But basically, kind of the price range I'm getting right now is like on the two Sherwood Forest things is like $20,000. So it's well within to do the kind of mock-ups and to start off with that. So we know what can be done there. I don't want to say we can do something if we can't do it, or if it's cost prohibitive. So does that?
Before we go there, help me understand, 'cause there's a lot of different
Yes.
Dedication of the existing tax bond issue, is that something that's already stopped or will be stopping? Help me understand.
How that comes about?
Yeah.
Okay, so the bond initiative is paying off much faster than expected. We have 2 opportunities to basically rededicate it, and that, well, one is May. We wouldn't be ready for that this May. Next one is November, and then we'd have one more chance the following May. And this would go before the voters. And there would, what I'm being told is that basically, like the animal shelter would be one issue that you would vote on, and then the rest can be, they're all park, the other ones are park related. So that would all fall under another issue, and then you'll have a rededication and then also the backing of the quarter cent. And we'll bring an attorney, a bond attorney, to kind of talk all about that when we get closer. But that's basically where this is coming from. This is not a new tax. This is an existing. I know Bryant just passed one. This is how Benton was able to get their stuff. This is how Cabot, how they were able to get theirs. So when you have large ticket items like this, it's basically what you look at.
Question. Thanks for that information. When we talk about event center, I mean, I know some of the conversation was like to, implode Sherwood Forest and build an event center there. But are we talking about now an event center or the volleyball courts? Or is it an event center with the volleyball courts like we saw in Benton?
So we saw 2 different things. We saw an event center and we saw the sports center. So, and talking to like the different cities and so forth, it's not realistic to make it one thing because those 2 things just don't go well together. They would be 2 separate buildings on Sherwood Forest. An event center, not huge. North Little Rock is building a convention center. I don't think we can compete against that. I don't think we need something as big as what Benton has, which is a convention center. But I do think we need if you think about it, the Greens isn't even big enough for the chamber banquet. We need something that's larger. We know how popular.
A minimum of at least 10,000 square feet.
Of
15.
Of what wedding venues are and those type of things, how well they rent.
What the current footprint is for Sherwood Forest. But the volleyball.
That would be a
So,
separate,
you
yes.
said east, or do you say west of the splash pad?
Okay, you are really, let's see, north, south, west, east is what I'm thinking. And I may be, Tab knows I'm challenged when it comes to all that. But if you are looking at Sherwood Forest, any splash pad, left side,
Okay, gotcha.
right side. Because I think we already have that flat area for your sports, which will be, I believe, potentially a little bit larger. But I think having that beautiful terrain to look out, like if you're getting married and so forth, to have those trees and everything, you have your windows. Yeah, not looking at the splash pad, but looking out into the forest. So,
4-year-olds in swimsuits.
does that, yes. Does that all make sense?
But where for the
Yes.
volleyball, basketball area?
That would be on you're right, where the existing Sherwood Forest
Where
is.
existing
Yes. And here's the thing, they may come back and they may say, no, that won't work, or this is how you should do it, or whatever. This is just, but I'm not an architect and engineer, so I know. So I can't tell you that, but that's why I need professionals looking at it, telling us, yes, you can do this. This will work, and this is how much square footage it would be, and this is how much it would run, and this is about what it would look like. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Does everybody feel comfortable with me moving forward on those things to start off with?
I do. I feel that way. I like it. I would also, I know we need to tear down an animal shelter and build a new one, but I thought part of the plan was to, as Public Works moves out, then they'd have that whole place there to build a new one. Is that, the location's still the same idea, but just.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I think the location of the shelter personally is wonderful. You've got residential. We actually draw from what I consider to be the best part of North Little Rock, right? Because we're really closer than they have to go all the way out to Burns Park. And you've got, Sherwood. So you really utilize those two populations. So I don't think we need to buy land or anything like that, Yes, no. Okay. So we're all good? Yes? No objections? Okay. Great. I will, with your blessing, I will move forward with that. At this time, can I please have Heather Jenkins come up? As I promised last month, it's been a really long day. The state of the city, we did it in, paper form and so forth. One thing we've noticed, a lot of cities are also doing a video version of it, and it's actually used as a recruiting tool for businesses, residents, and so forth. So at this time, we would like to show you the state of the city in a video format. She's cute. Yes, it is.
That's awesome. Good job, Heather.
It just highlights what an absolute amazing city that we truly have and how it continues to blossom and grow. We were hoping that we were going to be able to unveil our new camera system today, but due to the icy conditions, it was not able to happen. It's being installed tomorrow. We were so close with that. We are really excited about this new camera system. It will make it so much easier to watch our city council meetings. It will also, we will have control of the storage of it. It'll be in a much more organized manner. You will actually, it's got a search engine to where you could say Henson Park and type in Henson Park, and every time Henson Park was ever mentioned at a city council meeting going forward, it'll give you every single time, and you go right to that. You no longer have to sit there an entire meeting fast forwarding trying to get that information. It also is a lot more ADA compliant. So under YouTube, it very inaccurately typically transcribes the meeting, but once you only get that during the live feed. The recorded version, you get no transcription. This will allow transcription. This is used by so many cities. This is what they're getting going forward. The legislature uses it. Pulaski County does. Is there anything that I am leaving off, our IT director? I know you are very excited about it.
I am excited about it, Mayor. It is
You have to come to the microphone. You of all people know.
it's a very large leap forward in our capabilities to provide information to the public. It's what they deserve. It's their information. We need to give it to them. As the mayor said, with the video, we get indexing, we get searchability, you go to the website, you type in water, and it gives you a link to where water is mentioned in every video. You get a link, you click on it, excuse me, and it takes you to that exact timestamp for the video.
Cameron, I'm assuming that's going forward?
Yes, sir. Well, the company has said that we should, and I'm using this loosely right now because I don't have that in front of me, we should get a year of our YouTube videos brought over onto the new system. The YouTube system is not going away. It is there for into perpetuity until we don't want to use it anymore. But yes, sir, going forward.
But this will not be on YouTube. This will now be on our
It will be a new
website.
link, and we are going to put together as much forward-facing information to let everybody know where it's going to be, how to get there. My office is always open. We don't turn away calls from anybody. The organization of it all just makes it look extremely professional, and I really don't know what else to say, Mayor.
Yep. Well,
Said
anyway,
basically
we
all
are
of this is a
excited.
little-
It really, did you find out in terms of, did I cover different places that have it? Did you?
My sales rep was out today. I should have
Okay.
that information soon. But
All
you were
right.
correct about the quorum court and the
legislature.
The legislature uses it as
Yes.
well.
I know some other cities use it as well. One of the things just to keep in mind going forward, it has 3 cameras. And so whenever you speak, the camera is going to go to you, which is another thing. You know, there have been times when I've heard people go, I couldn't tell who said what. Well, now you'll be able to, because it'll actually focus on whoever the speaker is.
There will be one wide-angle camera in the back. There will be one on this side facing the diocese that way, and there's going to be one behind the diocese facing this direction at the podium. So we're going to get every angle, everybody. wear your makeup.
No. And this was in the 23 budget. It was
Yes, ma'am.
proposed in the 23 budget, but the whole system we were not able to get at that time.
There's a lot of moving parts to it.
Right,
Yes, ma'am.
and that was not due to the cost constraint. It was just being able to get everything in and so forth. So it was, once again, so it was moved over to the 2024 budget.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
this is all within the budget.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Cameron. We have a few announcements. One that is not on here that I need you guys to write down. March 5th at 4 p.m., we are going to be doing the dedication of our new inclusive basketball court over at Lake Cherrywood. So it is already being utilized, but we need to invite the state where we got the grant. Somebody posted that we spent an astronomical amount on it, which is not true. Also, someone posted that we were not improving the rest of the park, and we absolutely are. AMP has generously voted, and we already have the playground equipment in, but there's going to be a beautiful, inclusive park out there as well. Colors will all match up. It's going to be great.
What time is the?
It will be at 4 o'clock on March 5th. And this will be, even the Rolling Razorbacks will now be able to play street ball as well as everybody else.
And one of their players was a teacher at Sherwood Elementary.
There you go. Other announcement, February 27th, we have Sherwood Parks and Recreation Blood Drive from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. I don't know if y'all have seen, but right now they are statewide in need of blood. March 3rd, the junior tennis clinics begin. We have our new tennis pro is actively working out there, and that's at the Sherwood Tennis Center. On March 6th, the Sherwood Chamber of Commerce is having their annual banquet and community awards. This sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. It is a masquerade Mardi Gras theme, so, find your foofiest mask, and it should be a great time. On March 9th, Daylight Savings Times begins, so please remember that. March 17th, Summer Day Camp registration opens. Those spots go very quickly, so make sure you sign up for that. Any other announcements? Did you, Councilmember Williams, you mentioned the Rotary scholarships?
For 14 years, the Sherwood Rotary Club of Sherwood has given college scholarships to high school seniors. As long as you're a resident of Sherwood, did not matter which high school you go to. Those applications, you can contact me if you want an application. We've sent them out to the schools, the Sherwood schools, high schools, as well as East End and Abundant Life. But it's also on our Facebook page, Sherwood 5K Run, which is one of the sponsors who helps do it. So if you cannot find that online, hit me up. And you've got a grandson, a daughter, or son that is going to qualify or graduate from high school this May, every penny helps. Going to school, right?
All right. If there are no other announcements, I'll take a motion for adjournment. Oh, yes, sir.
I don't know if it was an oversight or were there going to be any committee reports?
No, right. What we do is we put them in the packets, and then yes, and then they contact the committee chairman if there's.
Not necessarily. No, that's fine.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Wade and a second by Councilmember McCall.
Both of y'all good work. I almost said something, but I didn't.